This video is recorded live on Twitch. Should be a link somewhere. Let me know if you find it. This is Android Studio. This is what we're going to use to build the Android app. You could use a lot of other things. I don't know why you would. I did meet a guy once who built an Android app that was in the Play Store using nothing but Vim and a terminal. This makes our life way easier. This does a ton of work for us, and you're going to see that as soon as we start this project. When we start it, you can see I've already got a couple things. Those are just me testing things. Top one horizon, we will get to that eventually. That is a bunch of background work I did for this app. We're going to start with clicking and doing a new project. Yeah, new Android Studio project. And we'll just do empty activity this time. An empty one. And we're going to name it My Crappy Color Picker. You guys like twitch.dorelli? You notice it automatically selects a Kotlin. We're going to be programming in Kotlin. You might have seen apps before in Java. We're gonna ignore that as much as possible. And as far as min version, we're gonna leave this at 15 just because if you're just starting brand new and gonna follow along this first episode with me, it doesn't finish. And it's going to do most of the work for us. Most of it. We'll close this tip. I'm sure it's a good one. Create some tests for us that we're going to ignore pretty much always. Make this a little bit bigger. So right off the bat, the first button we're going to click on is, you'll see it starts off with selecting app. Or ignore that for now. You can see Google Pixel 3. That's because I actually have my Pixel 3 plugged in. You may have seen it back here. It's not an emulator, it's my real phone. And we're just going to push play. Right? This play will use all the code we've written, which is none. And we're going to run that code we've written, which is none, on our phone. It's already installed. And hello world! Hello world is usually the first program anyone writes, and Android Studio writes that one for you. This is technically enough to, well, not quite, I guess, but like this is everything you'd basically need to write for an app for it to go on the Play Store. But just like any other application, it shows up in here, and there it is. It doesn't do anything. I'm clicking around right now, tapping with my finger. Nothing happens, but it is an app. And we created it in 30 seconds of build time. Alright, but we're gonna make more than that today. We're gonna make a crappy color picker. First, before we do that, I'll give you a little tour of stuff. Obviously this is the code window. If any of you have seen Android Studio before, you'll think my text is super big, and it is. All of this stuff is even big. It's normally set to 12 and I have it set to 18. Mainly because the stream outputs at the stream comes out at 720p. I want you to hopefully be able to read this. So I set it to 18. Yours should look smaller, and you should program with how small it is. You should, like, this is way too big. We're barely gonna be able to see any code, but I think it's worth it for the recording aspect. Alright, so as you can see, we have the code right here. It has two tabs open to us right away. One is activity.xml, which is written in XML, and main activity, which is written in Kotlin. That's the language we selected. I realize the tabs are super weird on here. Yeah, that's better. Was it like this before and I edited it? It might have been. Anyway, this is where we'll do all of our logic as to what the view is going to do. We'll be on the Kotlin side, and what everything looks like. The hello world, even the green and other green, I guess, and all the words and everything, that'll all be usually handled in the XML. You can do both of those things in either way. There's a way to do all the logic in XML and all the colors and UI stuff in Kotlin, but they're definitely designed to be the other way around. Over here in this tab is where you can see all of our different files. I will almost always have this thing closed because we don't need it. We will usually be using Command O and then you just type out what you want and you find it. That's a bad example because we're already there. Let's do activity main, like that. That's how we usually switch. It takes forever to find stuff, especially once our application gets big. It's gonna be hard to find things in here. And even if we are in here, we won't be on the Android tab, we'll be on the project tab. This gives us a little bit like, Android tab is nice maybe for beginners, because it cleans it up to really the only things that you should be regularly changing, and it separates things like the Gradle scripts so you can find them and things like that. But you should really probably usually be in project once you get used to things, because you want to know like the structure of everything and how like the files are actually being held, especially once we get to more complicated stuff. Like I said, we usually have that closed. Resource manager, I don't think we'll be using too much. I'll ignore that for now. Build variants, the main thing we have to worry about, like with this right now, is debug. It means we're just building it for ourselves. If we set it to release, we had everything set up, that version of the app that we would run would be the version that would actually go to the Play Store. But as it stands, we haven't done anything to change, so the two of them should roughly be the same. There's no point in changing it off debug. Structure can be handy more in the Kotlin side. This is a really big file. It's sometimes easier to find methods in here when they're listed in like more of a, not alphabetical, but more just concrete and understandable order. Bottom down here, we're going to ignore to-dos. Terminal lets us do anything terminal wise. We'll usually use this for Git. Build we just used when we synced the app. This is more just reporting. We'll see this mainly when things go wrong. And Logcat lets us view everything happening on the phone, basically in text form. We can see everything loading. It's not doing a very good job filtering. There we go. This is everything happening on to do with this app. So even though we didn't really write anything, there are still like background things that just Android does involving our app going on in the back. And then profile, we're just going to ignore my click it. And then run is similar to build, where we'll usually look here when something goes wrong. We want to see stuff, or if we're building tests. We can start actually coding now. So let's start with the UI side. We're going to keep with constraint layout. This is a fairly new thing, but I feel like it's a fairly standard thing at this point. So we're going to try and use it almost whenever possible. Okay, this text view, I want to get rid of it. And instead we're going to do a button. And for the width, we can either set exactly what we want the width to be, like 13 pixels. Usually this is a bad idea because the screen size could be totally different in Android. So 13 pixels on an old phone could be really big, and on a 4K brand new Samsung phone will be barely even noticeable. What we usually use is DP, which just means density pixels, and it's going to kind of do like, on average, 13 DP will be the same size on every single phone. It'll be like a percentage of the width and height of the screen. So we can do that and make a square button, really small. There it is. You see it? Or we can do things like relating to the parent, so match parent. And now it is this whole width here. We can do the same thing. Match parent, and now the entire screen is a button. We can even go ahead and play that. Here's the button. We can click it. You can see it's registering clicks, but we haven't told it to do anything yet. Looks cool though. For our case, we're gonna want to do wrap content, which basically is going to say make the button the size of whatever it's holding, and wrap content. For most views, when you do that, it's going to be nothing unless there's something inside of it. It'll be a size 00. For buttons, there's like some default padding basically built into it. So if you look, there's still a button there, even though we have it wrap parent without anything in it. We will add some text though. This is as easy as just typing out text, and it'll have stuff for us. Make color. You can see the button got bigger to adjust and fit for that. Then we also need a way for the Kotlin side to talk to us. We do that by setting an ID on it. I'll do that quick. I think ideally you'd have button first, but I usually just put it at the end if I have it at all. And then let's go ahead. Constraint layout's yelling at us because this technically has nowhere to go, so it's just defaulting to the top left. We're going to say we want it to be aligned to the parent top. Layout, constraint, parent, top of top, parent. So what that does is basically says we want the top of this view to be at the top of the parent. We're also going to say the same thing, where we're going to paste it, but for the bottom of the bottom. Okay. Bottom, so we're saying our view's bottom to the bottom of parent. You can see right away it moved. I hope you can see that. I'm gonna make that bigger. There we go. You saw it kind of like go straight to the middle there. It's kind of like averaging what you want. Fairly smart. So you say you want it to be attached to the top and attached to the bottom. The best it can do right now, because our size is constrained, is going to be, alright, just average the two. We could also do is 0, I think you can do 0. Yep, you can. Let's do wrap content. Width. I just realized that made no sense. And then 0 DP here. If you do 0, then it'll say, alright, we can choose whatever we want for the height, and we're going to make it go top to bottom. That's not what we're going to want for our wrap, but there you have it. Wrap content. And then for our kind of x-axis here, we're going to want to do end of, and then we're going to say parent again. You notice it went straight to the right. End of, the reason why Android uses the word end, and you'll notice it's also going to do, copy and paste this. Start, and I just missed the delete button and spammed my keyboard into a random RGB. Oh well. So now you notice it went to the middle because we constrain on both sides, but it uses the word start and end. This is to account for like countries and origins where reading left to right doesn't make sense. So for us, we always start, in the US or most Western countries, we start reading on the left, and that would be where we start on the left and end on the right. There are other countries where their language goes the other direction, and the UI makes a lot more sense if it goes the other direction too. So right now, you can kind of consider this like a US configuration by default, and we could set it to build this layout as though we were building it for like a Middle East country where they read from right to left. When we say end of, it would have been on the left side instead of the right side. So that'll just be automatic, basically, if we were ever to show our awesome color picker to the world. We'd want to do that. You can also see make a color is kind of not yelling at us like the button was, but the complaining. Anytime there's complaints like that, you can do Alt Enter, and it'll give you probably what you want to do as the first option. So we'll extract string resource. And it's basically saying make an actual value for this. Don't just hard code it. And we will do that. We go here. Well, the app name's already here, and now our new string make color is make color. The reason why we have this is for the exact same reason we have end of and start to be like end means left. No, end means right. Start means left. I should say that now. Basically, so that if we wanted to make a Spanish version of this app, or French or German or whatever, we would have different strings saved in different files to say like, okay, use all the strings on the French file for the French app, Spanish file for the Spanish-speaking languages or areas, and it would automatically choose which wording to use and just implant it into our UI for us. We're really smart like that. So to keep it complaining, we'll move it to the strings thing, but we're never going to fix that in our app. We're not going to make a Spanish version of our crappy color picker. Let's go ahead and run this, and I'll show you what it looks like. It won't take long. There it is. Make color, and we can click it, and nothing happens. We have the UI, but it's not actually doing anything yet. Now you may remember we set the button to be this ID here. That was so that we could talk to it from the Kotlin side. So that's what we're gonna do now. We come in here, and the method we want is find view by ID. And this basically just says find something in this XML, the activity main, with a certain ID. Since we already set that ID, we can just grab it. Color button. And this part's pretty easy. We're going to say on click listener. Alright. Now you may remember earlier. Oh, I did a long click. There we go. You may remember I said on log cat. When we go here, we can see everything happening with the app. So we're gonna be watching here to see when the button actually gets clicked. You'll see what I mean here in a second. So here we have the app is built. We're gonna click make color. Oh, I keep wanting to click it from my screen. I have to do it from my phone. And if you look, well, things in the way. Every time we click it, down here in our feed, we see button clicked. Button clicked, button clicked. So now we know whenever we click that button, whatever happens between these two brackets starts happening, right? But printing out color clicked or button clicked in this chat window or whatever is nowhere near the crappy colors we were hoping to pick, right? For that, we are going to do, we're going to need another view or another ID at least. That I want to do. Yeah, I'm just gonna name it background. So you can kind of see over here. I have to zoom in every time. Whenever you click something, it kind of highlights that section in blue. Whenever you click a section of code in here, if we click in this section, the whole thing, there's a thin blue line here. I don't know if that's coming up in stream or not. But the whole view right now is highlighted in blue. So that's everything in the background. So I named it background, so now we can actually reach it from our code. We can do that the same way. I'll say view again. Now this time we are going to do something different. We're going to say set background color. It takes an int value, which we can actually get from color dot any of these will give us a color we want. So let's start with magenta. All right, I will change it to that. Is that one of the options? I didn't even see it. It is. All right, change it to magenta. Again. All right. Do we think this app will crash? That kind of feels like it crashed, just because a normal Android developer or an everyday Android developer no. Magenta is actually what Android Studio defaults color values to when something goes wrong. So yeah, we clicked it, made it magenta, but us clicking it doesn't change anything else. So that's an extra crappy color picker. But I think we can do slightly less crappy. For that, we're actually going to use some variables, which I haven't done yet. Random, that's the word I'm looking for. Cannot create instance from abstract class, so that's why. Alright, we're gonna use the. Let's just see what it does. Random dot. Does it have anything? Oh, you can just call straight from it. Oh, that's cool. Alright, so we're gonna do random.int. And this is just gonna give us a random number. And then we're gonna plop it into a new color thing by just doing color dot alpha ARGB. That'll work. All right. ARGB, and for alpha, we're gonna do 1.0. We're gonna use the inside, and then for red, we're gonna do random dot next int. Ooh, we can do, okay. And then we want to do 255 here, so we never go above 255. And I'm just going to copy this 3 more times. Any commas. And we'll do that for, same thing for blue and for green. Alright, so this is grabbing a brand new, a random number from 0 to 255, which is how you choose basically any color. It's going to be a value of red, green, or blue, somewhere between 0 and 255, and they'll average that value together to get your actual color. Anyway, go ahead and run this. Make a crappy color. Oh. Hey, there we go. It's a crappy color right off the bat too. Blue. Now every time we change it, it'll be a completely different color. Which is pretty handy. Or pretty crappy actually, because we can't do anything with it. So now we want to make it so that, you know, this actually like helps us somehow. And that's that we want to be able to read whatever color it is that we just created. So to do that, we're going to need a variable. In Android Studio, anytime you want a variable, you can highlight any section of code, and if it'll work out to make a variable. If we do Command Alt B, yep, it'll let us make a brand new variable. Section, decide on its scope. We'll just keep it inside the click listener that we've been building in, and random color. All right. Did I put that exclamation point there? I don't remember doing that. So now if we were to run this, oh, it's not happy about something. Yeah, I did put that. Doing the same thing, working exactly the same, but now we have access to this random color and we can do stuff with it. What we're gonna do is set our text here, our button, to reference the color that we just chose. And we're gonna use the number that web developers would use to put into their code. We'll do that with creating a variable here. Call this color button. Alright, now that we've created this variable for the button, we can mess with it whenever we click on it without having to write that whole find view by garbage again. We're going to change its text. Does not want me to do that. No, because it's not a button. Now it knows it's a button. We can set its text equal to the random color. You can see that's not going to work. Yeah, we'll start with that, and we'll do wrap it in a string. Kotlin lets us just hard code this right in here. And now when we run it, it's going to set to whatever int this is. It won't really be intelligible by us, but we can at least see what Java and Kotlin call each color number. Click it. So according to this, blue is negative. I can't read that. You guys probably can't either. Negative, there's a comma right here. It'd be negative 115.5 million. Let's make this int a little bit more intelligible. We can do that with the same color thing we're using to make it. We're going to try and get some number back. You look at I could do each number individually. Grab color dot red. We'll wrap this in the string. We're just gonna add plus sign here, and we'll copy this 3 times. Do the same thing for RGB, so red, green, blue. Let's run that and see if we have a more usable app. Yeah, there we go. It did not respect our returns. I forgot to do space into it. You can actually read it. But it did not respect our returns, and that's because it only did exactly what was in these quotes and combined them together. If we wanted to have them on separate lines, we'd have to actually tell it to put in a return, which in code is usually just /n. You can even see Android Studio is smart enough to highlight that to say like it's a special character. And if we were to run that, we'll have it on 3 different lines, and developers could then randomly pick a color until they find one they like, and then use these values in their own app, right? We built an app, guys, in 30 minutes. Congratulations to you all. Thanks for watching my first video on this series. In future ones, we're going to be more documenting the app I'm making to control Streamlabs for streamers. If you have any questions over what I went over or want to help me along in future episodes, feel free to follow the link in the description below to my Twitch, where I stream most weeknights. Feel free to come on hang out.